Okay. What's up, YouTube? So, today I'm going to explain valve float and let you hear it. Today I'm going to let you hear it, and I'm going to explain it. So, right here we have a Predator 212 Hemi. It didn't have any stickers on it. I don't know why, but this is a 212 Hemi. So I'm going to start it and let you guys hear the valve float. It still has the governor in it, so I'm going to hit the governor arm to bypass it. I'll show you where it kicks in first. That's where the governor kicks in. Now I'm going to bypass it and let the engine rev until it floats the valves. Don't try this at home. You're going to hear it floating the valves, and the engine's going to plane off at a certain RPM. Okay, so that was valve float. You heard the governor, and then right there was valve float. And I'm demonstrating this on a tiller, a rear tine tiller. You can see the tine right there, but right here. So the governor, which I'll explain this in another explained video, but my camera's just there. So basically, valve float is up here, the valve train, where the valve cover is right here. So how valve float works, I have to show you here. Valve float is when the valve springs can't handle the RPM. That's when you need to buy heavier valve springs, like 18 pound, 24 pound. There's all my stuff. 24 pound valve springs and stuff. And so you would install that. My 110, for example, has like 24 pound valve springs. Stock. That engine will rev to about 10,000 RPM before it floats some suckers. That's also an overhead cam engine. But that's not... But anyway, basically, valve float is when the valves can't close all the way. And so, if I took this breather cover off here and floated the valves, you'd see fuel blowing back out of the carburetor, where all the compression is just blowing out. It's also blowing out the exhaust. Like if I took the muffler off and just ran it open, like no sort of pipe, it'd be blowing fire out. And then on the intake side, it'd just be shooting fuel out, dumping fuel out of the carburetor. The valve opens like this. The spring does this as the engine's running. It does it, really fast. Valve float is when the valve doesn't close in time. So instead of the valve doing this, it's doing this. It doesn't get to close. So for example, this is how much the valve is moving. Now, this is how much it's closing. Valve float, for example. Here's how much it closes normally. So normally it does that. Just for an example. Normally it does this. And then valve float is when it does this. The valve stays open. The valves stay open. And then that float, if you heard it, that like a sound. that noise was basically the valve train rattling where the valves were floating, which is not healthy for the valves. It caused a valve spring to pop off. But this engine's actually held up very well for how much I've sat there floating the valves. Not just in this video, I do it all the time. I have a Predator 212 non-Hemi, it revs a little higher. Every engine is different. Some engines handle differently than others. I'll get this other engine out here in a minute and show you the valve float on it. It revs higher. This engine's running, and here's a non-Hemi. You can see the valve cover is different. Gas tank's different shape, and the muffler and the intake is different. But if you see this on there, ignore that. That's stuck on the shaft. I'm trying to get it off. It's stuck on there. That's a pulley. So the engine's running a little bit out of balance. So it shakes barely more, but I ain't worried about it. Since I'm going to record here, I'm going to turn the choke on here. I ran this thing out of gas, and this thing sat for about 3 months. And I ran it out of gas. If you don't run an engine out of gas, it'll gum up the carburetor. So yes, this thing has sat for about almost a year, actually. And it was basically it sat. I ran it out of fuel. So let's see how good it starts. Look at that. Okay, the choke is on right now, and you can see these things have a lot of power. This one has the stickers. Predator engine, 6.5 horsepower. It's burning a little oil. Look at this thing shaking. Now, let me turn the choke off here. Okay. You can hear this engine's revving relatively higher. So I'm going to do it here. So here I go. I'm not going to do it too long for this one. This one revs like 7,000 RPM. It's crazy. This thing floats the valves at a higher RPM. We got this engine used from somebody, so I wonder if it's modified. It could have 18 valve. It's revving as if it has 18-pound valve springs in it. But you can still hear it floating. So yes, I'll show you the governor kicking in on this one. Look in there. I doubt you could see it. I'll turn it off. I doubt you could see it. But the governor arm. So right now, here's back at idle. The governor arm does this. And then it just maintains an RPM. So that's this engine. And it's the same principle, different valve style, valve train style. But as you can see, the valve covers a different shape. But otherwise, those non-Hemis have more compression than these Hemis. But you can see they both do the same thing. they float the valves. I might make a video explaining this better. I'm going to post it on Hot Wheels Racer as well as this channel. So, yeah. I don't want to touch that muffler. I've done that before, and I've put second-degree burns on my hands thinking I'm setting my hand on the intake. Yeah, so I'm going to let that engine cool down for a while. And that'll be my video until I get Slate-board and marker where I can explain things a lot better. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching Bama Bills and Hot Wheels Racer. It's an honor. And that will be it for today. So, peace out.